Your pension is about to be expropriated without compensation. And now, when you hear expropriated without compensation, you're probably thinking a pale-faced worm on the other end wearing khaki. No, it's not. It's you, a South African employee. Let me explain. If you stay with me till the end, I'm going to show you how you can beat this prescribed assets being forced upon you by the government. All right, what you see here is part of the ANC election manifesto, which is available online. And I want to bring your attention to page 26, where the ANC is talking about transforming the financial sector. And it's the priority two of building industries to achieve an inclusive economy. So we see on page 26, this is what it says. It will transform the financial sector to support employment and industrialization in South Africa. The ANC will direct financial institutions to invest a portion of their funds in industrialization, infrastructure, development, and the economy through prescribed assets. Financial institutions don't have any funds. I mean, they make their profits and they do whatever it is that they do with the profits, but the funds they hold are taxpayer money, specifically taxpayer pension. And how are they going to direct these funds? They're going to direct your pension through prescribed assets, where they will force the asset managers that hold your pension funds, your provident funds, your retirement annuities, preservation funds, into investing in government infrastructure. They're seizing your pension. Now, it may sound good on paper that, yes, they're going to find some funds to industrialize the economy, create jobs, create better services. But the government has been in power for a long time and everything is deteriorated under them. Right, so how they're going to do it is they're going to amend Regulation 28. So if you are somebody that's investing in a current RA or pension fund, those funds have to invest within the parameters of Regulation 28. And lots of regulation in there. The painful ones are maximum 75% in equities, and most importantly, maximum 45% offshore. So more than 45% of your funds can't be offshore. Maximum is 45. So when they amend Regulation 28 to force your pension money to go into the infrastructure products, they could say anything like maybe 1%, 2%. In fact, it was the apartheid government that had 77% of prescribed assets. So they directed 77% of pension funds go into infrastructure development projects in South Africa, mainly because they couldn't raise international capital. Well, obviously, since it was apartheid. The big difference between the apartheid era and now was that many of the pension funds were defined benefit funds. So, irrespective of what you contributed, your defined benefit was set for retirement. Fast forward to 2024, now we have defined contribution funds, right? You make a defined contribution into your pension, into your RA every month. You're playing on the markets, and because you're playing on the markets, your outcome is dependent on market returns. All right, so very big difference from when the apartheid government did it to the socialist government doing it. But why are they doing this? Why will they be forcing the pension funds to invest in infrastructure projects? They run out of money. The coffers are dry. They're at the maximum in taxing you and I, the South African taxpayer. There's essentially no more money. Currently, infrastructure projects are being funded by taxes. And we know that the tax base is shrinking. It's covered by borrowing in the form of government bonds, which a lot of pension funds hold. In fact, the entire investment portfolio in South Africa is holding about 1.9 trillion rands in South African debt, which is supposed to be going to infrastructure projects. And if you are living in South Africa, you know no infrastructure development is actually happening. It's being looted. But here's the disadvantage of prescribed assets. There's a lot of them, and let's go through them quickly. Firstly, there's no proof of competency from the government. There's no proof that they could manage funds well, because they have not done it currently already. It's being used and abused and looted by government entities. Then we have government's cadre deployment policy, and we saw the opposition party request the records of their cadre deployment meetings and the committee meetings, and very little is available. So there's no criteria in selecting the cadres that they put into the various positions in government entities, right? There's no criteria and there's no notes of how that's done. So because there's no criteria, how do we know in the future that the right people are going to be going into positions of power? People that know how to do stuff, people that have done stuff before and have proven track records. We don't know that as taxpayers, right? All we have is government's word, right? Remember that 500 billion for the pandemic? So we have government's word that, yeah, this money is going to go, your tax money is going to go into infrastructure development to build the economy, to create jobs and a better life for all. And we know currently that's not the case in South Africa. Government is also not committed to corruption. ANC has released its candidate list recently. A big chunk of the list are people already with corruption charges on them, from state capture to regular government employees just being in dodgy dealings. So the government is not committed to fixing this corruption and ethics problem that they have in the institution. How can you trust them with your pension? I don't have a pension. So it's your pension that's at risk here. Now imagine contributing. You are sacrificing, you're making sacrifices in your budget, you're micromanaging your budget, you're trying to find every extra cent. Maybe you rake up another 500 Rand for your personal RA. Now imagine that going to a government entity, for example, Eskom, who is year after year, bailout after bailout. Now imagine you scrounging that 500 Rand, it goes to the government entity, and now this government entity with poor leadership, poor ethics, full of corruption, goes and buys toilet paper in bulk at 26 Rand a roll, which has been done previously. How would you react as a taxpayer? Let me know in the comments below. And all of this is being done in the name of infrastructure development and transformation. This is a classic case of animal farm right here, because the apartheid government did issue prescribed assets back in the day. The ANC came back and repealed all of that and replaced it with Regulation 28. And here we come full circle in the ANC bringing back prescribed assets, which is ironic because they have an open economy to grow this pot. However, corruption and looting and mismanagement of funds have left South Africa in a state. As it is, the SCOs are not profitable. Eskom, Denel, SABC, all requiring bailout after bailout after bailout. And now the government basically wants to throw fresh money in their already failing policies. How will this make a difference? In fact, the only people that are taking the risk here is you with your pension. Do you trust the government with your pension money? So if the SEOs are not profitable, they're not profitable now with our current tax money, how will they be profitable with new money? The idea of investing in pensions, right? You contribute via your pension fund, via your retirement annuity. That asset manager then takes those funds, right? And you give him discretion to decide where to put that money. Should he buy shares in Truworths? Should he buy shares in the mines? Should he buy shares in Vodacom? And he does all of the asset managers. They do all of the analysis, use all kinds of algorithms and programs to try and make this investment thing work so they can get a better return. So you in turn can get a better return. But if the SEOs are not profitable, how are you going to get dividends? How is your pension going to grow in this bottomless pit of the ANC government? Lots of pain that's going to come from this prescribed assets. But what should you do? What should your thinking be? One, you need to reconsider your retirement planning. Now, at work, at pension, you can't renegotiate that, right? It's built into your work contract. But on your personal capacity, if you are investing in private RAs, it's time to sit down with your planner and rethink this. Are you willing to give up the various tax breaks that come with retirement contributions in order to save your pension? To redirect it. Now you have to save for your pension. But because prescribed assets are here and the risk of government confiscating it is there, doesn't mean that you have to stop contributing. It means you have to replan, come up with a new strategy. And you, as an individual, together with your financial planner, you're going to have to decide, is this RA thing, is it worth it with Regulation 28, with prescribed assets, or are there alternate avenues that you can go through? You've got to consider the benefits, the tax benefits that you received compared to the outcome that you're going to get. Ideally, You want to be looking at other investment wrappers to fund your retirement. Now, if you're a client of mine, a client of Solomon Wealth, we are already doing this, right? We're already preempting this because prescribed assets have been on the cards for the longest of times. And I'm always showing you, as part of your retirement strategy, how to plan for retirement outside traditional retirement funds. If you want that for you, click the link where you're watching this video. I'll be happy to chat with you one-on-one on how to restructure your retirement planning. The next thing that you should consider is investments into alternates, right? Alternates are a different asset class. You got to consider things like crypto, right? You got to research this a lot more. A lot of scammers out there. You got to really understand this crypto space and if it's something for you and how you can utilize it to your benefit. I'm a big fan of gold and silver investing, talking about physical coins. Check the gold and silver playlist on my YouTube channel on how you can utilize that. And the third one, the most important one, is you got to take your money offshore. South Africans are allowed to take 1 million rand offshore every single year. It's pretty easy to do. Well, I do all of the work, all of the paperwork for you, right? But you got to consider taking a lot of your money offshore. And that's my cue to end this video because it is starting to rain, right? If you want to talk more about prescribed assets and how it can affect you, click the link where you're watching this video. I'd love to chat to you more. And also don't forget to check out the retirement playlist so you can have a better understanding about the retirement landscape in South Africa.